Welcome to the Diversity Connector podcast, where we explore the rich tapestry of human experiences. I'm your host, Tricia Mhey, and I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the country on which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging, and together as we dive into conversations that bridge cultures, challenge stereotypes, and celebrate the unique perspectives each of us brings to the table. Each episode is a journey through stories and insights from a kaleidoscope of voices, each sharing their colorful narrative. Whether you're at home, on the go, or just anywhere in between, you're now part of a community that values understanding, inclusivity, and the beauty of diversity. So plug in your headphones, get comfortable, and let's connect through the power of our shared stories. Welcome, and thank you for joining us on the Diversity Connector podcast. Hello, and welcome back to the Her Story TV and the Diversity Connector. This is Tricia Mhey here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today we are graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, how old you are, and share your story with us today.
Hi everyone, my name is Tricia and I'm 24 years old. I'm currently based in Melbourne, Australia. So I'm originally from the Philippines and I did my bachelor degree in public health in University of the Philippines Manila. So I did it in my home country. So what really inspired me to be in public health is that I've always had this passion to help people in any way that I can. And I think public health was very eye-opening. So when I did it, I didn't really have the idea of the depth of public health in general. And it made me realize the importance of community engagement and how important it is to prevent diseases before it happens. So my story is that I am the eldest among four kids, and we were struggling financially. And one of the main reasons why I went to Australia was because the opportunities for public health is it's immense. It's large, and there are some opportunities that I couldn't get back in my home country. And I have the goal that once I get the opportunities that I could, is I want to give back to my people. I want to come back. I want to come back to the Philippines, maybe in the near future. So I did my Master's of Public Health in the University of Melbourne, and I saw how important the health was during the pandemic. Public health is not something that has been given much importance in my country, which is why I think my country has struggled a bit in terms of maintaining social distancing and also in terms of health issues during COVID time. And I think what really transpired for me to pursue a master's in public health was I did a community engagement project in a place in the Philippines, and we were able to do a project that could help benefit the health of the community in there. And we've seen how important health is to most people who don't really have the means to go to clinics, to hospitals, and it's just really fulfilling as a public health professional to be able to help them in those many ways. And I think a lot of people do not know about public health. So when people ask me sometimes, what is public health? Why did you go for public health? Is it similar to people doing debates? Is it similar to public administration? And sometimes you just think that since it's not given that much importance, people do not know what public health really is. So public health is about prevention of diseases, and it's about caring about the population rather than on a patient one, like individual into individual basis. And I think what's really interesting about my profession is that we are able to do massive research, do different projects, do interventions, most especially in places that are not reached by social media, or places that do not really have the capability to take care of their health. So one example was the project that I did back in the Philippines. And right now I'm working as a project officer in the Royal Australian and New Zealand College of Psychiatrists, and we're currently doing projects to improve the CPD home of the psychiatrists in Australia. And my my journey in Australia wasn't that easy. It was a struggle. Like, I don't have a family in Australia, and I think one of the disadvantage of being in Australia is that you are far from the family. But whenever I look back at the reasons why I came here, more opportunities to be able to help my family and to be able to have the opportunities to develop my skills in public health, and hopefully one day give back to my own country, do projects in rural places or places that need my help. It has become sort of easier to manage, I guess. It's just that you need to adopt more into the culture and learn how to live by yourself. I've met some really amazing people along the way that have helped me um, cope with homesickness, and I know a lot of international students will be able to relate to this story. Like all of us, we have reasons, we have goals in life. And sometimes we need to go out of our comfort zone. We need to be away from our family in order to reach that certain goal. And this, I think this is very common a lot about people, with people who want to develop more of their professional skills, and I think also grow as a person. And another struggle that I had is that most of the job opportunities in Australia have been leaning towards permanent residents, so people with PR. So for someone who is an international student and who had a student visa, it was really such a struggle to find a job. But then, in my experience, it really only takes for one person to give you a chance, to give you that the chance you need to enter the industry. So with most jobs, they require Australian experience, job related in Australia, and that has been a struggle, most especially because I didn't have a job experience in Australia initially. But I'm really thankful for the people who gave me the chance to prove myself, the chance to be able to share my skills to everyone. And I've been in like research industry, so it has been really fulfilling to be able to do something for the community and to be able to contribute something to the health of the majority of the people. So I think it has really been a struggle, but I've found people that are really, really amazing to give me that one chance that I needed. And now I'm working full time as a project officer. So I'm really thankful for everyone around me. The job market has really been bad recently. So it is hard for everyone right now. And I understand that everyone needs everyone needs financial assistance to survive in a country, more especially when you're far from home. Some people would also want to support their family back home. It gets better. It will be hard initially, but then again, just keep believing that there will always be that one person who will give you a chance, because it happened to me. So so that's something I'm really, really thankful for. And I think another thing that has been a struggle as an international student or as an international person is being able to find, I think, friends. Because when you're an adult, it becomes harder to be able to socialize when you work, most especially with COVID, less social life. But I think, in my opinion, it's sometimes it's okay to reach out to people, to connect to people, because nobody can live alone, And I believe that it's very hard. Not everyone can socialize with someone, not everyone can reach out to someone. But when you are in a country far from your home, you definitely need someone. And it's not bad to reach out to people, to have connections, because connections is also very important for you to get into the job industries. And connections is also important for you to be able to grow and to be able to live happy life, even though you're far from home. So Australia has now been my second home. I've met a lot of amazing people who gave me a chance to be able to prove myself, to be able to grow as an individual, ex- um, to be able to share my skills and to help everyone else. And I think in public health, there has been a lot of opportunities that my country my country doesn't really have. And I think Australia has been really amazing with developing professional skills for most of these people in this industry. So I'm really, really thankful for that. And I know a lot of people are struggling. To all the international students out there, I feel you, I see you, I know, but it gets better always.
Wow.
Just,
Tricia, what a wonderful journey you've been on. It takes a lot of courage to do what you did, to leave your
mm,
home country, come to a foreign country and try and forge your way.
yeah.
Now, how many years have you been here?
I've been here about a year and 7 months.
Almost 2 years.
Yeah,
And that decision to finally come and leave everybody you love behind. If
yeah.
there was another student who's out there thinking about immigrating, is fearful, is uncertain whether things are going to work out, what advice would you give them right now?
Um, so I also had this question in my head. What if it doesn't work out? Is it worth the sacrifice? Is it worth it? And I'm telling you, one thing is for sure is that my only advice is always go back to your reasons, the reasons why you are doing this. The reason for me was to be able to help my family back home and to be able to develop my professional skills because I want to go back to my home country one day and be able to share my skills there. And if you go back to your reasons, who are you doing this for? Why are you doing this for? At the end, it's always worth it. It's scary. It is. I'm not saying that it's not going to be scary. It's going to be scary, but trust me, you're going to meet people along the way that will help you, guide you, and make sure that you don't feel alone in this country. And if you go back to your reasons all the time, you're always going to have that courage and ability to fight what you're going through. So always go
I
back to
love
your
that.
reasons.
Now, there's a term in diversity, inclusion, and equity called allyship. You mentioned
Mm-hmm.
that there's a few people who have supported you, who have helped you, along this path. Why is it important for you to find allies in your workplace in order to progress your career?
So with me, in my workforce, I had very I had a very massive support from my project managers. So to all the managers that have given me the chance to work for them, I think it is very important because these people mold you into who you are going to be in the future. So with what happened to me is that I told them that I wanted to be a project manager in the future, and these people just continuously supported me, gave me tasks that would prepare me to be a project manager in the future. And these people have given me immense support. So whenever they tell me that it's okay, if something goes wrong, I am here. Something goes wrong, I'm going to support you. You're not alone. And I'm asking you to do this because I want you to be ready for the future. So it is important to have this sort of allyship because a lot of people are afraid to make mistakes. That's something that is very true for everyone. And a lot of people, they want to be something but they don't know where to start. So the allyship enters and these people help you where to start and how to get there. So I've been very blessed with my managers to be able to help me in this journey of becoming that project manager in the future by helping me and supporting me, by always telling me, I'm here, something goes wrong, and this is how you should start. This is what you should learn. So it is very important to have those kind of people along the way because they mold you to be that person that you want to be.
I love that. Now, I noticed that you started your career as a laboratory scientist. A lot of professionals come to Australia, come to New Zealand with certain skills, and sometimes those skills don't quite fit in. Your
Yeah.
qualifications sometimes aren't recognized. And you seem to have found a way of still staying in the medical field. Was that by choice, by accident, or did you reinvent yourself when you got here? Because a lot of people need to know how to do that. They struggle with change.
So with me, I started as a public health graduate in my country, and I did a research project. I also did a project, a project in one of the places in the Philippines, wherein we had to live with a family, and to make a project like a health project within the community. We had to identify what were the problems, what were the like health problems specifically, and how are we going to be able to help them. So I already had the necessary skills to be able to take my master's degree in public health in Australia, because when I looked at the curriculum, it was very similar, and I already had the skills to do that. So what I would advise to people is that before you go to Australia, you need to understand what you're getting yourself into. So with me, I did various research, which master's degree I should take, which university. So it sort of helped me blend into the professional health industry more, because I already have the necessary skills back home. But for those who don't have the skills, you'll have to do a lot of research as well. What are the requirements, and what are the things that they're looking for? It's always on the Google, and if you don't find it on Google, what I used to do was that I emailed the university and sort of got my answer from that. So research.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. We're very lucky that we're living in this information age, and information is at your fingertips, really. And
It
most
is.
academic institutions will respond, they will reach out to you if
Yes.
you need that help. Now, working in the health sector, you are obviously a minority in your workplace as well.
Mhm.
How have you managed to navigate that space? Because again, it's challenging when there's not many of you or people who look like you or who come from your
Mhm.
country who are working in your organization. How are you coping? Have you tapped into the Filipino community here in Melbourne?
So I've met some Filipino people in Melbourne, and some of them became my friends. And in my workforce, I first work at Unimob, and Unimob is known for diversity. So I've seen a lot of like Asian people working in Unimob as well, and Unimob has been a great place to work at. um, they've been very, very supportive. They've been very respectful. They've been amazing towards everyone. So it wasn't very difficult for me to adjust, because it is an amazing place to like work in. And now in my current job, there's more diversity, because I I saw more people who are not really from Australia as well. So they have the same story, international student, migrated to Australia. So it wasn't very difficult, because everyone has been so supportive, everyone has been so nice. And I've seen a lot of people with the same story as I did. And it just makes you realize that, wow, it's been an amazing journey. It's been difficult, but then if we are able to do it, I'm pretty sure everyone else could. So it has not been difficult, because Australia as a whole has been very supportive. I think even though we're in the minority, even though we're you don't see a lot of yourself. But if when you enter the industry, most of the time there will always be people with the same story as you. So it has not been very difficult at all.
That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about racism. Have
Mhm.
you had any incidents, any experiences where you have felt racism, and how have you dealt with that?
Interestingly, I actually have. So I was waiting for the tram at a tram station, and there was this person who was looking at me like very badly, he and then she asked, "Why are you here? Like, go back to your country." So I think it hasn't been a very common thing in Australia as of yet, because I mean I've experienced it twice, but I don't think it has been a very common thing yet, and hopefully not. But I think I've dealt with it. I just didn't meddle with what racism she was throwing at me, because I think some people would not like it to be here, but you really cannot do anything with these people. They will always just have this type of like opinion about you, and there's nothing you can do to change that. So I just didn't react to it. I just told her that I am here because I want to study. But then I didn't have to engage with her even more. I didn't want to give her the satisfaction that I was affected by what she was saying. I am here
Mhm.
because I can be here. So why can't I be here? So
Yeah, it's interesting how you get to make the choice whether you want to expend your energy with certain
yeah,
people or not.
yeah. I
And
think
you
if
made a
you
very
give them
deliberate choice.
yeah, I think if you give them the attention that they want, they'll have the satisfaction. So I was just
Mhm.
looking at her and I told her I am here because I can be here. Like why not? So and then she
Mhm.
stopped. It still happens, but I don't think it's a very common thing. And I hope it doesn't become even more common, because a lot of people have been dealing with racism as well ever since COVID. And you know that COVID has been like these people associated COVID with all this that's happening. So I think it has been very bad, but it's not, I think it's not to the point that it's extremely bad, but people still deal with it.
It was interesting during COVID. A lot of people from Asian
Yeah,
countries got the brunt of it, but there's still some good people out there who really make it
there are.
worthwhile. So let's talk a little bit about intersectionality. In diversity and inclusion and equity, intersectionality, we're referring to the multiple aspects of a human being. You
Hmm.
know, when I moved to New Zealand 21 years ago,
Yeah.
people's impression or assumption of who I was that I was a refugee. So just because I've got brown skin, you're supposed to be uneducated, you can't speak English. You know, people make assumptions just based on how you look. And I had a lot of skills. I was a first generation coder in computers. I was a computer programmer, a systems analyst, a project manager. I had run several companies, but I kept getting that perception of who I was. So you have many facets to you. I can see that you came from a scientific background. Now you've morphed, you've now positioned yourself in the healthcare industry in a completely different position as a program officer, correct?
Yeah, project officer, yes.
Project officer. So you have many aspects to you, and you've probably grabbed your transferable skills from your first job and you're infusing it into the next one, correct?
Yes, yes, that's right.
Why is it important for people to look at their workforce through an intersectional lens, do you think?
I think it's important because I think learning is a cycle that never ends. So when you learn a skill from one of your jobs, you have to bring it to your next job. It sort of helps you develop your skills as well, and develop your grow as a person. And I think it's very important because, like again, I said like learning is it's like ongoing, never ending thing. And it's very important because it helps you decide where you want to be and what you want to do. So sometimes it gets confusing for people that this is what I want to do, but I'm not able to do this because I don't have the skill. But then if you worked previously and you realize that you want to do this and you learned something from this previous job, it gives you the capacity to grow. So I think it's important to have this sort of intersection just to be able to do more things. Because in Australia, I think not only in Australia, but I think in many countries, there has been a lot of like competition within entering industries. And if you do not learn, you do not increase your skills, you're not able to move up the position. And I think it is important, most especially for people who have different financial goals or different goals in life. So I think it's just important to have this sort of learning as a never ending thing. And I think it can get very interesting as well.
I love that. Yeah, it is actually a very, very crucial thing to be able to use all of the aspects of who you truly are.
Yeah.
So now let me teleport you into the future. As immigrants, we leave our home countries, we know the conditions of where we came from, and we all have this burning desire to go back home and make a difference. So if
Yeah.
I could teleport you to the future you're now 90 years old. You're wise, you're sitting on your rocking chair, surrounded by your children, your husband, your dogs, and your cats, your grandchildren, and you're reflecting back on your life and the difference that you made in the world. If you could talk to that 90-year-old woman based on where you're going and how you're living your life right now, what would you say to this wise woman who's led you to that point?
That's actually very interesting because I haven't mentioned that my dream was actually to be a doctor, but there were actually some circumstances in my life that didn't allow that to happen. But I am still in public health. I'm still in that field of profession. I'm still making a difference. But maybe I am not doing what I imagined myself doing initially, which is to be a medical doctor, but I'm still making a difference. So to that 90-year-old me, I'm telling you that we may not have been able to do what we once dreamt of, but we did something bigger than that. So, like, first of all, I'm very proud of you. It was not an easy journey, not being able to be a doctor because you once imagined that. But it is very strong and courageous of you to be able to expand your horizon, get out of your comfort zone. And we're not just helping people on an individual to individual basis, but we're helping an entire population through research, through projects. So you did well. So despite all that, we did well. And I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of us.
I love that. The reason why I asked that question is that a lot of young women think that when you set out in life and something doesn't go according to your plan, that's the
Yeah.
end. You're very young. You're only, what, 24?
Yeah.
And
I
there's no.
actually thought it was the end as well. I had this in my mind before that I thought it was the end. But then when you look at different opportunities, like I'm a very religious person, I just looked at it at a perspective of, you know what? Maybe he didn't want you to do this because he wants you to do bigger things. And I'm doing bigger things right now. So it wasn't it I may have thought about it as the end, like you said, but then the journey is not over. It's not over until it's over. So I'm still very proud of myself. I'm still very proud of what I've become. So I'm very glad you asked me that question.
Yeah, and I like to remind my interview guests that, you are that wise woman. She's already in you. For you to get as far as you have, to find yourself in Australia, that yearning that you have inside is there.
Yeah.
And you have to keep following those promptings, following that intuition that says, okay, this hasn't worked. Let's try something else. she's already guiding you. And I
Yeah,
like the fact that you said thank you to her because
I
she's
did
here.
because yeah, because it was also the reason. So this was also the reason why I'm here in Australia. I've never I've never really imagined myself going out of my country. So I think being a medical doctor for me was more of a comfort zone, and I expanded my horizons. I went out of my comfort zone, which I think a lot of people are so afraid to do. But the fact that
Yes.
I was able to do that also alone in this country just makes me very, very proud of myself. So it's something I
Yeah.
think I'm going to look into more in the future. And I'll be like, wow, I actually did that. So amazing.
And
So,
every once in a while, you need to look back and see how far you've actually come. Because that's the other
yes.
thing we forget, right? There was a
Yeah,
day when you were sitting back home in the Philippines and this was just a dream. And
it
now
is.
you're here, you're inside the dream, making it happen, right?
Yeah. And I think what's more interesting is that when you have a dream in life and it didn't happen, if it happened, that is good. You know the journey. So me wanting to be a doctor, I knew what I was going to do. So I knew what was going to be in the journey, doing internship, doing this, doing that. But since that didn't happen, I was sort of redirected to a path that I have no idea what I was gonna deal
Yes.
with. And I'm actually dealing with it right now. So like even
Oh,
having this interview was, it's just a blessing in disguise. You never know what just happens in your life. So there's been a
yeah.
lot of like interesting stuff. So you're actually right
I
about that. I agree with
love
you.
it. I love it. I would love to track your journey and maybe interview you in 3, 4 years' time. And this will be a completely different story.
Sorry,
And we can go back
exactly.
to this video and you can reflect back. But thank you so much for coming online today and sharing your story with us. It's
Thank you so
absolutely
much, Tricia.
inspiring for me when young women say yes to being interviewed. They feel they've got something to say. A lot of young women need to step up and start using their voices because this is how we change the world. There's a young person who's going to listen to you speaking, sitting in the Philippines with a dream right now, and will be inspired because you showed up today. So
Yeah, I'm
please
really
keep showing up.
happy. Yeah, I'm really happy you invited me for this interview. So initially, I was a little bit thinking that is there something that I could say? And then realizing that a lot of people are dealing with the same journey that I am dealing right now. Going to a country, being alone, having that dream, just go for it. Go back to your reasons. You're confused. You don't want to do this. Go back to your reasons.
The
It
reason why
makes
you
it gives
came
you
in
the
the
courage.
first
Yes,
place. Oh, I
yes.
love
It's
it.
always the reasons.
Thanks so much, Tricia. We want
Thank you
you to
so
be one
much,
of our
Gertrude.
mentors at our first Diversity Connector conference. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
planning a conference towards the end of the year. I will send you information about that.
Oh, great.
But
That's
thank
so
you
interesting.
so
I would love to
much
come. Thank you so
for
much, Gertrude.
coming.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Really, really thankful.
Okay.
Thank you.
So don't go away. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. Please tune in again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing young woman. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. And that's a wrap, everybody, on today's episode of the Diversity Connector podcast. Thank you for tuning in and being part of our vibrant and global conversation. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a tapestry of diverse perspectives. Remember, every story you've heard today is a thread in the larger fabric of our shared humanity. So, as you step back into your world, carry these stories with you and let them inspire you to embrace and celebrate the rich diversity around us. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these inspiring stories with more listeners. Do follow us on social media by looking for the Diversity Connector podcast for more updates. Until then, keep connecting, keep listening, and keep celebrating the beauty of diversity. This is the Diversity Connector podcast signing off. Stay curious, stay open, and definitely